So here's an issue I have, guys. Here's my demonic diatribe of the day today. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in and coming back and checking us out once again. This is Infernal Symphony TV. I am Demonic Bishop of the band Infernal Symphony, as well as the runner of this YouTube channel where we cover not only the band and its music, but also the philosophy and basically religious ideology or lack of potentially behind it. So here's another video, guys. So today my quick sort of godless thought of the day today is thinking about, I was watching a debate with Matt Dillahunty and John McClotchy, who's a Christian apologist and biology professor, and they were basically sort of talking about the evidence or potential lack of evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. So any Christians out there watching this, first of all, what the hell are you doing on this channel? But hey, you never know. You know, if you get something out of this channel, that's fine with me. I appreciate the views. But nonetheless, if you are a Christian and you sincerely believe the Christian faith, then surely the resurrection of Jesus has to be one of the most, if not the most important aspect of the religion, because without it, the rest of the deck of cards completely and utterly falls apart. You know, the idea of Jesus resurrecting from the dead, becoming the Spirit of God incarnate, sacrificing himself to serve as a loophole for rules that he was in charge of, is the foundation of the Christian faith. And without it, there's no exemption from sin. There's no heaven and hell. There's pretty much nothing really that can actually separate Christianity out from any of the other similar Abrahamic religions such as Judaism and obviously Islam. So really, if you are a Christian, you have to believe that the resurrection occurred. The problem is, that I see at least anyway, is that there is very little to no evidence for this. I hesitate to say there's no evidence whatsoever because, of course, in a court of law, for example, anecdotal and testimonial evidence certainly counts. But the problem with that is all we have to go on with the Bible. All the claims that Paul makes, all the claims of all the rest of the other disciples as well, all of the people that sort of, can attest to Jesus having resurrected, supposedly all saw this happen, basically all eyewitness accounts. But we already know that eyewitness testimony is one of the least credible and most flawed forms of evidence out there, particularly if you were to look at a court of law, for instance. The problem is when you look at the Bible, not only is that already very, very shaky ground to start with, but all of the people that supposedly wrote the Bible or were eyewitnesses in the Bible didn't even record any of this stuff down till at the very, very earliest 30 to 40 years after Jesus died in the first place. So those of you of a certain age out there, if any of you can remember events in your life that happened 30 to 40 years ago, I'm pretty certain that the way you remember it is entirely different to the actual events and the way they occurred. So yeah, so the evidence that is there isn't particularly reliable. The evidence that we would expect, things like physical evidence, things we can test for, other historical documents which confirm the fact that Jesus even existed, don't seem to be around, and the ones that purport to be are very, very shaky again for the reasons I'd already said. So Tacitus and Josephus, for example, were both not even born until 30 years after Jesus had already died. So even the earliest accounts of this, when you actually look into the information and the historicity behind it, still really don't have a leg to stand on in the first place. So in terms of trying to kind of confirm the resurrection in terms of evidence, there very is little to nothing there. So when you look at this, when you look at the fact that the resurrection is quite possibly the single biggest, most important thing, not only in Christianity, but let's assume it was true for a second, would be the most important fact of all humanity. This would be the thing that not only confirms the afterlife, confirms the supernatural, but also confirms the fact that the Christian faith is in fact true, and therefore the results of it determines, the entirety of whether you are going to spend eternity in heaven or hell. Surely something this important would have much solider, much stronger foundations and much better evidence for it. If God is the most important or powerful or knowing being that has ever existed, whether in this universe or not, surely something as important as this, a message such as this that he would want to communicate to us directly, would be a hell of a lot better supported, a hell of a lot more historically sound, and would basically, we wouldn't have this conversation right now. There would be no doubt, there would be no discussion about it. It would just be a given fact. The very fact that we're even, having to consider whether this is a true fact or not at all gives me the suspicion and the impression that it is in fact a fabrication, or at the very least, I mean, what other reasons would Jesus have or God have to keep this such a mysterious secret from us? Potentially it was all a big lie. Potentially it was a true event that was recorded badly. But all of these different, possibilities are things that God, as an all-powerful being, could have quite easily taken care of if he wanted to. So that leads me to believe that either God doesn't want us to know whether the resurrection was true or not, he doesn't care whether we believe the resurrection was true or not, or the resurrection itself never happened to start with. And all three of those possibilities are things I could care less about. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you agreed with some or all of this video. If you'd like to see more content like it, please remember to like, share and subscribe, or comment down below. Also follow the bell, click that, and you'll get notifications anytime we come out with new content. We seem to be doing it relatively more regularly just recently. I never go into these videos with any sort of plan in advance. It's always just off the cuff, so I'm sure you guys can sort of see that for yourselves, and you can probably tell. But if you'd like me to put a bit more research and a bit more time into making these, please let me know. At the moment, I don't really feel like it's worth it, because with this, the low levels of views and subscribers I have at the moment, this is really all that it's worth doing, really. When you consider the time I have available and the amount of people actually watching this stuff. But having said that, if things change in the future, or if I get a lot of comments to the contrary, if you'd like to see me do more in-depth videos, please let me know, and I'll be happy to do them for you. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Demonic Bishop of Infernal Symphony, and this is Infernal Symphony TV. Please check out the rest of this series, which is in the playlist on my channel, if you like what you've watched and you'd like to see more. But other than that, I'm going to go now, guys. So thank you very much. I've been Demonic Bishop. You guys have been awesome. And stay tuned for further videos.